Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cleveland Tableau Users Group. Today, we have two Tableau Zen Masters, Jonathan Drummy and Alexander Mao, and they will be talking about map layers and and relationships within Tableau and how they work. And real quick, I just wanted to get a very quick welcome message up. And let me share my screen real quick. So again, this is our first Tableau user group that we've had in a while. So thanks again for joining us. The agenda for today is Alex is going to talk around 12:05. We're a little bit behind schedule. And then Jonathan, and we're going to have some closing notes. So first of all, I just want to say, if you haven't already, please join us. We're on LinkedIn. We're the Cleveland Tableau user group, so you could join us there. Instead of entering this number here, you could simply search for Cleveland Tableau user group and join us. Our leadership team is myself, Jeremy Paitis, Mark Rogozinski, and Lauren Antz. I am at Overdrive, which is a pretty cool company. I'm the manager of the business systems and analytics team. Mark Rogozinski is at CVS, where he works on the business intelligence side, and Lauren Antz also works at Overdrive, a member of the business systems and analytics team as well. We already have our next meeting planned, which is pretty crazy, having two in a matter of just over 30 days. So our next one is going to be December 9th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. It's going to be a hybrid meeting at Conveyor in Castor, which is over in Westlake, Ohio. So that'll be a hybrid meeting. So we'll have Zoom and in person. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Alexander. He is a Tableau Zen Master. He's a passionate data visualization practitioner, and he works as a senior consultant. Please check out his blog. There's just a wealth of information out there. He's done a great job. He updates it frequently, and anything that's new to Tableau, he becomes an instant expert in it and posts about it. And he's joining us from the San Francisco Bay Area. So I would like to now hand it off to Alex. So let me stop sharing. And let's see if we can get Alex to start.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. So all right. So thanks, Jeremy, for the introduction. Yeah. So map layers. It sounds like only apply to maps. Actually, it's a graphical layers that we can do more things than just a map. Yeah. Also, of course, on the map, we can overlay a lot of information on top of each other. So today I want to use a simple example to show you guys how to apply the map layer technology to regular charts, okay? To the charts we may use more often than just maps. Yeah. So here is the sunburst chart, okay? That is using map layers. Usually we can do this using polygon. And you know, you guys may have known that we can do the bagel. What's the name of it? So the ring with the donut chart with the white circle in the middle using dual axis. But here we have 3 kind of layers. Yeah, so we cannot do it using dual axis. So here we can do this using math technology. Okay, yeah. So let me do this from the beginning. Okay, from scratch. And in the process, you can see how map layer works. Yeah. Let's use just a regular Superstore. Yeah. So let's select. Okay. Well, the first thing we do is create a center point. Yeah. That is make point 0, 0. This create a geo data type. Yeah. So, and this is a necessary. Okay. So you see, we make a point. This is a point that has latitude and the longitude, both as 0. And this is necessary for the map layer. Okay. So it's basically considered still a map, just that we will draw our charts on the map with latitude and longitude. So let's drop this into the detail. So we got a map. Yeah. So this is our canvas. Yeah. And for that chart, we need 3 of them. Okay, we need 3 layers. So that's, and this collect is the aggregation type that's specifically for the points on the map. Okay, it's a collection basically of coordinates, and we need 3 layers. So you see, when we drag this into the canvas, it will show, hey, add a marks layer. Well, and we need 3 of them. Yeah. Okay. So let's rename this as white. This is the white circle in the middle. Yeah. And this one is the category layer. And this one is the subcategory layer. And then, okay, let's create this category layer. Okay, we can drag the category into the color and make this a pie chart. Yeah, it's kind of slow. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay, you can't just go as big as this, but this is certainly not big enough for us. Yeah. So here you see in this format menu we have a style slide that we seldom use. Okay, I never used before this this example. Yeah. But we can make it bigger with Shift Command B or Shift Control B to make it very big. Now I'm using keyboard to make it really big. As big as we like, okay. That is too big. With Command B, it will be smaller. Yeah. All right. And the scales into angles. Okay. So this is our pie chart. So next, let's create our subcategory chart. Pie and also sales. Okay, and we want to make this also very big. Okay, you can see I want to see the one that's behind. Maybe we can hide this layer. Okay, so this one is already there, but we just don't see it. Yeah, so by hiding this, okay, and this, yeah, okay, this one is too big. So we can unhide it. So now, yeah. So use size, we can adjust the relative, sizes. Yes. Okay, now we can turn off the map. Okay, from the background now map and make it none. Yeah. So now we are back to a regular canvas. Yeah. And so let's make this a little bit more aligned. Oh, actually, we want to put this here, and we don't need the just the category and the subcategory. Make it color. Voila. So this way, so you see we use the two color here. This way it not only give us the subcategory color, but it also make this kind of a sequential color for the subcategories. And let's sort the subcategory according to field, that is sales. And we probably wish it to be a descending way. Yeah. Voila. So so we get this, and as I said, we want to put a white circle in the middle. Okay. Yeah. And to make it white, and to make the size voila. Now, so this is basically how this works. Okay. And the next, I would like to also show we like to have the labels. The labels usually in Tableau, the default is have the label. It will put the labels outside of the circle. Okay. And many people actually prefer the labels inside. So how do we do that? Yeah, how do we do that? Okay. So the idea is to have the labels, put the labels on the inner circle. Okay, on the inner circle. So it will. So let me show you how. Yeah. Okay. So now, for that purpose, we need to use the pie chart. Yeah. And let's use the category, but if we put on color, it will color the yeah. And with sales. Okay, so this will align, and but we don't want it to use color. We want it to be in detail. So now it's white again, but it's a pie chart. It's a pie chart there. Yeah, it's a small pie chart. And let's actually turn this into a label. Voila. So this is the, make it look like we put the labels of this donut chart within the donut chart. Okay. So yeah. So we can use the same trick, okay, to make this to put the labels on this layer of subcategory. Okay, let's do it. Yeah. So by extend this, so this actually becomes you see this pie chart become a subcategory chart. Yeah, and only that it shows the same color within the same category. Okay, the subcategory are there, but we don't really see it. Yeah. Now let's make this a label. And voila. So the labels are inside all this circle. Yeah. So this is a 3-layer of charts. Okay, on top of each other. Okay, thanks to the map layer technology. Okay, so we have, but here, what we have to be really careful is we need to create all these layers before we turn off the map. Okay, before we turn off the map, and that's very important. And we also need to adjust the size before the map. Before we turn off the map. And here, this will be kind of fine-tune the map, the size, but it won't change it won't make it that big. Okay, yeah, this size is just a fine-tune. Okay. There are something more I use to really fine-tune this chart because sometimes really maybe I'm kind of very with a lot of attention to detail. Yeah. So I create this. This is a 3 layers. You can see that all these labels are close, very close to the second ring. okay, to this ring. Yeah. Maybe sometimes we don't really like that. Okay, we don't really like that. Yeah. So we want the labels to be a little bit to the middle. Okay. But Tableau by default, this is where it plays all these labels. Yeah. So just close to the circle. It's well, it's understandable, but sometimes we want to have the flexibility to place the labels where we want it. Okay, ideally, yeah. So I have this. This is a 5 layers of charts. Okay, yeah, I have 5 layers, and this 5 layers, it note that I have 2 transparent layers. Okay, so these transparent layers are still pie chart. Just its colors, it doesn't have, well, it has 0 opacity, 100% transparency. So those are still pie charts, and it's there. Its only purpose is help us to place those labels. Yeah, and I even turn off the selection. Okay, so when the mouse is here, we don't really see the transparent. Okay, well, if I enable them, yeah, I see them. You see, I see those pie charts. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So by varying the size, we can adjust the position of the label. Yeah. Okay. So I have 2 layers of labels, and so I placed the 2 transparent layers, in this chart. So each chart, each layers can be hidden, okay, and can be disabled when you hover the mouse on top of it, and you don't see it. Okay. And we can also, change the yeah. So we can move the layers whenever we want. Okay. So and voilà. So basically, that's my talk about how to use map layers in some, some cases we may use pretty more often than maps. Yeah. Okay.
So Alex, that's I think that's really cool what you were able to do. I actually have a couple of comments. So it's interesting. In your first example, it seemed like for every label, it was a layer down, right? So in order to label the next thing up, you actually labeled it at a layer down, right? In order to get that label to show. Okay, and then your most recent one, the one that had 5 layers, actually you switched over to utilizing transparent in order to place the markers, right?
Yep.
That's really cool. And then if you wanted to finish this one off, right, you would just format it and remove the 0 axes and kind of clean that up, right? That's all just done through formatting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I just found that the color is not matching. So, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so that's really cool. And then I guess if you're trying to construct this, right, you're like, okay, well, it's typically used for maps, and then that's why it had the map layer come into play initially, right? It's using it, it's looking at it as a geospatial type of object. So it wants to automatically do that. Just turn that off once you build that out. The one thing that was new to me that I've never seen too is that the whole idea of even going bigger, right? And you found that by going to format, right? Where did you see that at? If you wouldn't mind showing that one more
Yeah, it's
time.
format, cell size,
Format,
and
cell size.
bigger and bigger. Okay. Do
All
this
right.
when you are still in map mode. Okay. Afterwards, it won't work.
Oh, okay, so that's an interesting point. Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah, seems still work, but
oh,
let me. Okay, yeah, still work. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, but in map mode, you create all the layers you need. Okay, yeah, that's
got it. How many layers have you gone?
well, 5 layers. Well, it used to be 6, but I actually 5 layers. That's the most I have gone so far. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. And is the sunburst just one example, or have you all built any other examples using this method?
Yes, I have this one. Yeah.
Very cool. Alex, is this all available on your blog as well?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. So this is just an example to show how we can overlay a line chart over a bar chart. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes in this kind of bar chart, we have 3 subcategories here. Well, 3 categories here at each bar is that people want them to be side by side, and this is very hard to overlay another line chart on top of it using dual axis. Okay, it's impossible. I don't know how to do that. But here is an example of how we can do it using map layers. So so again, first we have to create some geo type of a collection of coordinates, okay, of points. Yeah. So this is the calculation. Well, to create the point is a a little bit more complex than it looks. Okay. So so the X, okay, is the category. It's about profit. Sorry, this is this is the Y axis. Yeah, the Y coordinate. Yeah, the height. This profit, and this is the month. That's the horizontal axis. Okay, and yeah. So we have to create this series. Okay, this is our dimension there. Okay, and we have to create a way that allow us to create all these spaces between the months and also the categories. So between categories there are some it's closer. Yeah. So between every group of the 3 bars, that's month. Okay, so we have month, and this index is the category index. Yeah. So we have to, create a horizontal positions for each bar. Yeah, this is for it, and this is the profit the percentage for the category. Yeah, this is profit percentage for the per category. Yeah. So yeah, this is the kind of math we have to do before we create the position of each bar. Yeah.
Okay, and I see that this is available within Tableau Public. So if somebody wanted to kind of take it and kind of deconstruct it, they would be able to do so.
Yeah, yeah. I can provide you guys with links after the call. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, Alex.
Yeah. So here, yeah, we have the 2 layers. So this is a line chart. If we can turn off, right? So this is the bar chart. And so this is the line chart. Yeah. Suppose has always has a geotype of aggregation. Yeah. Okay, voila.
That's very cool. Yeah, if there are any other questions for Alex, please put them into the Q&A and we'll be sure to address them afterwards, or I'm sure Alex would be happy to follow up at a later time as well. But thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. Again, learn something new on a whole another level. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Oh, there is a question. Could you add the URL of the blog? Yes. So the URL of the blog is also on the invite, but we will go ahead and we'll post that as well.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. All right. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Jonathan. So let me introduce Jonathan really quick. So Jonathan is a member of the Tableau Zen Master Hall of Fame. As long as I've been using Tableau, I've heard of Jonathan, so he's been around for a bit and always been an excellent user. He is at Path and has a long Tableau resume. He is a Tableau Zen Master Hall of Fame member, along with many other accolades, including Drawing with Numbers, which is his blog. He's currently a part of a podcast with Keith Helfrich, which is pretty fantastic. So if you're trying to really make sense of Tableau, which again is the name of their podcast, The Sense Makers, they do a great job of explaining the inner workings of Tableau and how things work to like a very granular detail, and also make it very practical in terms of their explanations of it. And Jonathan is joining us from Maine. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Jonathan. And Jonathan, I just need I need to stop sharing. And I think that you could just pick it up, I hope.
All right. Thanks for that intro, Jeremy. And thank you, Alex. So let me just hide some things here. All right. So, welcome to the Cleveland Pug, everyone. Thanks for having me, and I'm going to talk about relationships in Tableau. And I know not everybody's on kind of current versions of Tableau, so I'm going to do a little intro and then dive into some different use cases. Just to mention my employer, Path, for a second. We are a nonprofit, non-governmental organization, and we work around the world in improving public health. So the malaria vaccine that just got WHO approval a few weeks ago is something people at PATH have been working on malaria vaccines for about 20 years. So it's just one area that we've been involved with, and we get to use Tableau for doing that. And we're a grantee of the Tableau Foundation. So thank you all for buying Tableau software and making it possible for us to use it. So Jeremy did a nice introduction to me, so I'm just going to skip all of that to talk about relationships. And this is a feature in Tableau that I've been super excited about for a long time. I was talking with the Tableau developers. I just checked back in 2017 about this feature, which got released in version 2020.2. And the thing that Tableau was doing with this feature was to take everything they knew about joins and data blends and level of detail expressions to do something new for connecting with data, and enable more complex data models and analytics use cases. And really, in some ways, kind of combine that power of row level joins with the kind of flexibility of data blends where each view can be doing something different with the data. And we can, with data blends, we can work with each data source separately, and we can do the same thing within relationships. And so with that, I'm going to do a super quick demo of this right now. And let's get to 2021.3. Actually, let me show my data in Excel first. So I have data, two data sets here. This one is at the level of facility and year, and then we have a population. So what is the population of that health facility in a given year? And then I have case data for each facility, which is coming in for each month on here. So we have two different grains of data, one data set at facility and year, another data set at facility and month. And if I'm in Tableau, working with this, and just for time here, I'm going to go a little faster. So let's say I have my facility data for each month, for each year. So this data, and then I take my population data and I drag this out, and that population value is getting replicated. So for facility B, it's in 2 months. We're seeing that population of 75 replicated each row. This is standard join behavior. And then if I build a cases per 1,000 measure on this, sorry, my cases per 1,000 measure, as in the form of like sum of cases divided by sum of population times 100, I get these numbers. But then if I take month off of the view and I'm looking at the year level, well, that population value that's right here, and I actually have I have a Logitech Stream Deck, and I have implemented all of those lovely format cell size things on my Stream Deck, so I don't have to remember what all these shortcuts are. So I just use that right now to make this a little bigger. And so my cases per 100 is being divided by 150 and not 75. So this number should be significantly bigger. And the thing that we end up doing is writing level of detail expressions to work around that. So with relationships, what Tableau has done is instead of having a join, we have a relationship. And with the relationship, as we move it around, we see this curvy line, which gets called the noodle. And that's a visual indicator of that. And what happens in the relationship is it's going to work like a join, but it's going to be computed at runtime. And then the relationship, it's going to query each table at its natural level. So on the relationship side, in working with this, I can take my number of cases and my number of population. Then my cases per 100 measure can be sum of cases divided by sum of population. And I'm getting the correct number. My population here for B is showing up as 75 and not 150. So it's a really simple demo of the power of relationships where we can connect to the data and work with the data as it is and not have to understand more about the grain of the data and have to write LOD expressions and so on. So just to kind of review that, in a physical table join, Tableau is going to create kind of a flat table that is the results of that join and use that. Within relationships, that set of physical joins becomes a logical table, and then we can relate our different logical tables together as we need in each view and query them independently. And this is something Tableau made default behavior is to start using relationships in version 2020.2. So you may be using them already. And with this, a key point here is that Tableau hasn't taken away the power of data blends, the power of physical table joins. We can still do all of those things if we want to. And we get relationships as kind of this new layer on top of that. And just kind of to talk about how this works out, when we have a view that is using fields from multiple logical tables, Tableau is working kind of like it did with data blending. So it's going to query logical table A based on the dimensions in the view and our relationship keys. It's also going to query table B based on that. And then it's going to join those results together at runtime using our relationship keys, apply any remaining filters and so on, and then render the view. And if both logical tables A and B are coming from the same connection, then Tableau will merge the queries together so we can end up with really fast performance with relationships and end up being able to handle larger data sets than we could otherwise. So I'm a SQL user in my background, and just want to talk a little bit about this because for SQL users, relationships can be kind of head-breaking, and they certainly were for me when I was learning. So I just want to take a minute and talk about those differences. So a key thing with relationships is the joins are deferred until runtime. So that's when we're setting up multiple physical tables inside a logical table, we're setting that up and it's behaving as it did before, but our relationships are deferred until runtime. Our measures are going to be aggregated to each logical table's level of detail. So that can mean we don't have to write so many LODs like I did in the demo. We don't have a flat table for the entire data source. And this goes back to this, our relationship joins are deferred until runtime piece. So if we want to look at kind of what does this data source look like, we need to set up views to do that. But on the other end, we can get huge performance gains out of that because we're not replicating all of those rows out. And then our join type is going to change based on the fields used in the view. And so there's a lot of different ways we could go into it. So I'm just going to kind of let that go right now, but it gives us a lot of flexibility with views. So for some takeaways from this, if you really want that fixed source that you're used to, keep on doing joins within a logical table. You don't have to change what you've been doing to get that kind of effect. And in my own use, I kind of mix and match based on what I'm doing. There are performance limits for relationships because they are computing joins at runtime, and it's similar to data blends as well for that. So sometimes we need to do joins or use extracts to get more performance out of that. And there are various subtleties in using relationships. I think of it really as this third way of connecting data sources. So we've had joins, we've had data blends, now we have relationships. And one of the things Keith Helfrich and I have been doing is diving into the details of relationships. And we have the SenseMakers video podcast that Jeremy had mentioned, and I put a link in the chat for it. And we also link back to documentation at times and things like that as well. So it's a really rich functionality, and I'm going to show a couple examples of this. So this is one of our data sources where we're doing an analysis of our awards and grants and what kind of money we need to spend in order to win grants. And so we have many different, from our original opportunity data coming out of Salesforce, we have 1 to 0 or many, 1 to many, many different relationships between all of these different tables. I did a little math, and if I tried to do this as a flat table, it would be somewhere on the order of 1 trillion records. And I just checked our extract is 8 megabytes in size as a multi-table extract, and our queries on it are really fast for what we need to do. So it's a case where I saved myself weeks of work in trying to build a data source to answer these analytical questions, or what really would have been multiple data sources, and instead I'm able to do it all in a single data source. Another example of this is diversity, equity, and inclusion data on Path employees that we're looking at. And here I have a couple of different shape files that I'm connecting to in order to draw these maps. And I want to point out here that I'm actually using 3 different extracts within this data source. And what we find when we have multiple extracts being output and connected in the same data source is we're getting about the same performance as we would if they were all in one multiple table extract. So despite the fact that Tableau is going to warn you when you publish, hey, you should extract this, it's still super fast. Another piece of this is when we're storing these shapes in separate logical tables, we get a big performance gain when we're generating, when we do have all of these in one set of stuff and have to generate extracts. And then you might notice this map projection is not the usual web Mercator projection, and that's thanks to Sarah Battersby that we're using that. So it's another way we're using relationships now. And I also brought this into here because this is a case where I had a data pipeline that was creating this extract, and to be able to just tack on another table so we could draw the shapes that we wanted without having to rearrange my whole data pipeline is a really huge win in being able to quickly respond to my users and give them what they need. So for a last little bit talking about here, version 2021.4 is in beta right now. And there's a whole set of things that are enabling what I'm about to demo to you. So I had relationships in 2020.2. We had relationship calculations in 2020.3. So it's like join calculations, but for relationships. In 2020.4, we had map layers, and we just got that awesome demo from Alex on what we can do with map layers and custom charts. And then in 2021.4, it's enabling map layers from multiple data sources. So I'm going to switch over to 2021.4. And here we have a map. And sorry about these messages. My do not disturb just timed out. So in this map, this is Canadian high school completion data, 4 different provinces, 4 different years, and we have a situation where there's no data for the northern tier of provinces for 2019, and kind of standard map behavior. When we do that, these provinces go away. So with map layers, what we can do is create a map where we have, actually, let me just take this one. And the thing that we can do in 2021.4 is have map layers from completely separate data sources. So historically in Tableau, everything we plot on the map has to come from the same data source. Now we can have completely separate independent data sources. So here's my high school education data. I'm going to go to my provinces data, and it looks like I'm going to set up a blend. But then when I drag this out for my province data, I don't actually have that here. It's a completely separate data source. And so I can use this if I just change this to a filled map, and then I'm just going to rearrange my order. Let's make this a gray. Sorry, this color. Oh, did I end up with something on color? Yeah, countries on color. Let's put that on detail. There we go. So now I have my background country here. And if I have my 2018 and 2019 data, I'm able to set that up, and I didn't have to do any joins or any relationships to put this together. Where we can go even further with this is that I'm going to show this map done in relationships, and then I'll go even further. So here I've set this up in my data source using kind of what we would have to do in version 2021.3 or earlier with relationships. Here's my chi-school completion data. And then I have this 1 = 1 relationship. So I'm doing sort of a cross product, but it's not really because it's relationships. And I have these 2 semi-independent logical tables that I can work with. And so I can show my 2018 data, or my 2019 data and so on. But because this is all in the same source, if I filter out both 2018 and 2019, this is the beta, I get this little error. I just need to hit the refresh. Oh, Tableau just crashed on me. Wonderful. Let's start it up again. I did say it was beta software. Let's just send them an error report, and we'll open up the workbook again. So anyways, when I click off 2021.4 or click off 2019 and 2018, all of my data goes away and I have a blank view. And there's cases where we want to show both. We want to let users have this interactivity so they can see the data, and give them an option to, if all the data is filtered out, show something. And we can actually see the message underneath this right now. So in this data source, I have 3 marks cards. My top marks card is my high school completion data. My middle marks card is also coming from that relationships data source, and I'm using it to draw these no reported data. So I have something there to show people when there's no data for 2018, for example. And then I have a third layer, which is just a text mark. And this one's coming from this completely independent data source. So that way, if I turn off 2019, I'm seeing this message here. And historically in Tableau, if we wanted to do this kind of thing, we'd be doing sheet swapping, or we'd have to do a lot of extra work in our data source and use calculations, or potentially using transparent backgrounds and so on. A lot of complexity. And here I'm able to do all of this with a few layers in one chart really quickly. So that's coming in 2021.4. And then Tableau is continuing to evolve relationships as a feature. Just to go back to my PowerPoint here, and we're going to see more announcements at the Tableau conference next week. So I'm cutting this short a little bit just so we can keep everything on time, and I'll check in and see if there's any questions right now.
Jonathan, it looks like there was one. It says,
Yep.
what if you have a column? What if you have column in a secondary data table that you want to create a relationship for? The original table doesn't have the said column.
So you're still, I'm not totally understanding the question here. I mean, with relationships, there's still the fact you're going, if you want data from table B broken down by something in table A, or vice versa, you've got to have some common set of values. That said, if I just need table A and table B to put values from both onto the same view, we can do data blending that way. with primary and secondary. We can throw stuff from both, or we can set something up like the 1 = 1 relationship and use values from both tables in the same view. And in the case that we have table B and C, I'm saying have a column that table A doesn't, then you could relate table A to table B and table A to table C, and then you can show values from B and C on the same view.
Jonathan, was
and
it
work with
similar
them,
to
that the
what you did
relationship will
with?
work.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, was that similar to what you did with matching just on 1-to-1? That way it exists, or no?
Or that way it exists in both, but I'm just going to share my screen again and go back
Okay.
to this this giant data source here. So for example, one of the things, if we could think of this as like this VSF opportunity is table A, and then I can take my actuals and budgets for my bid and proposal from table B. Whoops, sorry about that. Stop moving mouse. Here, and then I could also have the award data over here and put details from both of these on the same view, fields from table B, fields from table C, and have no fields from table A on the view, and that'll work just fine.
Jonathan, what are the
Yes.
the icons on your tables? That is, some have that icon like table,
Oh,
but some
the one,
no, on
these
the right.
icons?
Yeah.
Okay. In some of these cases for these tables, one of the things relationships does is it puts icons on our logical tables to give us some information about what's inside this. And within these logical tables, there's unions, there's custom SQL, and different things going on in these more complex logical tables. So Tableau's put that little icon to let us know that it's more than just a simple connection underneath.
Okay. And another question is, can this table be extract and non-extract?
So when we're doing an extract, and I'll just shift over to, so when we're creating an extract,
yeah,
we have two options for extracting. We can extract to logical tables, or there's certain rules, and I'm forgetting the ones right now, and we can extract to the physical tables that make up our logical tables. So in that way, the multi-table extract feature that Tableau introduced in 2018.3 or so is a whole point of why Tableau built that, was to support this kind of use case. So here, going back to this one, part of how we end up with an 8 megabyte extract is each of these logical tables is separately extracted. So it's all in one extract.
Okay.
And that is one challenge with, just to mention for those of you who are using Tableau Prep, Tableau Prep cannot output multiple table extracts yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Another question is, so is there any difference? So, 8 meg, well, so any difference when you place this related data source, related tables in desktop and on server? Are there any difference? Do you feel, well, it's just
any particular differences? I haven't noticed any really in terms of behavior. Where we do have we used to just have joins, and with doing joins, you'd have like live versus extract, what you might write custom SQL for or build a view or so on. And with relationships and logical tables. There's some new layers of what we can do that can add some complexity to it. But where the gains are huge in some cases for what we can do with it. And so it is something where I've seen like somebody doing the old extract of a flat table ends up being faster than using relationships. And it's because that extract is pre-computing everything to put it into a single flat table versus relationships that are deferring the join until runtime. And at the same time, that relationship is faster than a live connection. So we see some different variations of that. Keith and I have a podcast on that coming up, talking about some of those differences. So it is something that I wouldn't be able to say like which way to set things up right away. As a general rule, there's going to be some nuances to it based on your data and your environment.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for those questions, Alex.
Yeah, excellent. Alex, Jonathan, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Just have a few closing notes, and everyone, thank you for staying with us past the 1 o'clock hour. Those of you that were able to. So let me just bring this back up. So finally, some closing notes. So our next meeting is again going to be December 9th from 5 to 6:30. We're going to have hybrid. It's going to be both in person and remote in Westlake, Ohio at Conveyor and Castor. Topics that will be covered include the Tableau Conference 2021 recap. We're going to review some new features, and then includes things over the past couple years like map layers and relationships too that we might have missed in the course of our meeting schedule. And we're actually going to have a Tableau present as well. Finally, don't forget to join the Cleveland Tableau user group on LinkedIn. And this recording will be made available to the group, and I will go ahead and post that when it's ready. So again, thank you very much, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in a little while.